And it's showtime. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Blue Marble Science. And a good afternoon to Bebby and Farmer's Boy.
Afternoon.
And A22 Productions and whoever else is going to decide to show up today. We're going to have a little fun. We are going to go over a bit of a debate that went on between Mike Jones and Bebby this past Saturday. It was done over on Bev's channel on the Level server and the Try Thinking YouTube. And unfortunately, Bev has turned his video into private, as you can see here on the screen. Oh goodness, whatever shall we do, baby? Oh, I know. We made a recording of it, didn't we?
Oh yeah, we made.
Oh, of course you did.
What would you think?
Oopsie.
Wait, you mean just deleting something off the internet doesn't make it disappear?
No, it didn't. For some reason, my copy still works. How about that?
Well,
interesting, huh? And good afternoon to Alan Evans. Hello, Alan. Good to see you.
Hello.
So we're going to do this out of Discord here. And what you guys will want to do when Bebby is going to go present his screen in here. So if you want to hear it, you'll need to click on Bebby and watch it that way. And meanwhile, I'll have it going out to YouTube. So that's the plan.
cool.
So has anybody got anything they want to say before we start? Or you want to give us some background on it, Bebby, at how all this came about?
Yeah, I'll do that. And when we're all set, I'm going to start off with a slideshow just to set the background and what I hope to achieve from that discussion, and then I'll put some editor highlights of. There is an hour and a half of crap there, mostly sort of like ranting and shouting, and quite a lot of me shouting actually. I've edited that out, unless anyone has some special requests. Yeah.
You mean you weren't as well behaved as you were the previous week when you were in here?
No. I mean, it was you kept a fairly tight rein, Farmers. Sorry, Alan. But Emma did no moderation at all, and it was just hopeless. Mike just interrupted every other second. I shouted a couple of times, but
what?
You forgive me, don't you?
And you mean you mean the guy that bitched about our moderation on this channel?
The
very who was sitting there, didn't do anything to help you out on his channel?
The very person, yeah.
Oh goodness! Imagine that.
Okay. I'm going to kick off now with a slideshow, if that's okay. Shall I?
Sure.
Okay.
And share your screen.
We make that big. How is that coming out on YouTube? Blue.
Just give me a second. I may need to make a minor adjustment here. In fact, I think I do. Let me see if I can get this screen to cooperate a little better. I want to get it as much full screen as I can.
Sure.
And hopefully, let's see. Something about like that I think looks pretty good. So let me go back and have a look. Yeah, it looks good on YouTube, I believe.
Yeah, it looks fine out there, Blue.
Okay. Well, in that case, we're ready to go. Have at it, buddy.
Let's go. Thank you very much. Yeah, so as a background, this was, we have a recording of a debate between myself, Bebby, and Mike Jones of the On the Level server. And I'm going to show some of that in a minute, but just as a bit of a background, what was the objective for me of that debate? First and really important one was to get Mike and Bev to admit they're globe deniers. I've liked this, and he always changes the subject. What a surprise. Obviously, they will say, oh, we don't believe the Earth is flat. And I say, okay, fine, but is the Earth a globe then? Never much success. But I got Bev, and possibly Mike, it wasn't entirely clear, but definitely Bev to agree at 1 hour, 8 minutes into the presentation, who said, yeah, I would agree with that. So Bev agreed. Agreed, it would not be rational to believe that level is horizontal and that the Earth is a globe, from which it logically follows that if the Earth is a globe, then level is not horizontal. Conversely, if level is horizontal, then the Earth is not a globe. And Bev at least temporarily agreed to that. I've got a recording of him saying that. The second purpose, and this relates to a trap they tried to spring upon me, which we'll see in a minute. My objective was to show that they cannot prove anything from the assumption that level and horizontal are synonyms, i.e. mean exactly the same. My point is that level is horizontal is not true or false in virtue of its meaning. Its truth or falsity has to be established by observation. And that's a key assumption in science. It's a very important one in the history of science, that for a long time, really from the times of Aristotle to the Middle Ages, people believed you could sort of get to reality by not even looking at the world at all, but by sort of looking at logic and looking at propositions which are true in virtue of their meaning and so forth and so forth. The big revolution we saw in science was that people said, well, actually, you can't know what the world is like entirely by logic alone. You actually have to sort of look at things and measure things and find out what acceleration due to gravity is. So that's a key thing I'm going to talk about. Third objective was to get Mike and Bev to understand logic. How do you think I did, guys? They laughed. No, it wasn't.
Knowing Bev the way I do and the history that I have had with him, yeah, you'd have better luck getting a duck to do calculus.
Right. Or a pigeon to play chess, right? Okay, moving on. The first question was important, to admit you're a globe denier. There's what I call the classic flat earther, and this dates from the 19th century, Samuel Rowbottom. Flat Earth has moved on a bit, so no flat earther will say they're a flat earther. They'll say there are hills and valleys, and they really keep pretty quiet on the question of what the shape of the Earth is. They'll just say, "Oh, we don't know what it is," or "There's a globe in your mind," or they talked about what it was now, the dogmatic globe model. That's it. I mean, no fucking clue what that is. But let's just look at what is implied by level being horizontal. I've got a little drawing I made there of the official shape of the globe, where I put the Greenwich meridian and the other bit of the Greenwich meridian at 100 degrees. So that's the kind of the official shape, pretty much so. It's actually an oblate spheroid, but I don't think at the scale of this picture it would make much difference. And then I unwound it to make it into a horizontal, such that level is horizontal, and you get something that looks like that. And no sane person would say the world looks like that, yeah, no sane person. And the main problem with this is that, well, there are many problems, but look at the South Pole. If you look at the circle diagram, the official shape, you can go right all the way along the Greenwich Meridian and end up at the South Pole if you're intrepid enough. And you can go all the way back, via New Zealand and the Bering Straits and bits of Russia. Problem with that, the problem with the flat model is that you've got the South Pole on the left and the South Pole on the right. It's the same bloody place. How do you explain that? And that's the big unexplained problem of globe denial, or rather of level equals horizontal, that the top one, the flat line with a few little sort of bumps on it, a few hills and valleys, the flat line is just an impossible shape in terms of what we know about how meridian lines behave. Now, just going back to the 19th century, this is an extract from one of Rowbotham's books. He famously thought, and many flat earthers still do, he famously thought there was an ice wall that surrounds the entire flat earth in a circular sort of way. How far the ice extends in the ice wall, how it terminates, and what exists beyond it are questions to which no present human experience can reply. And note that he's saying, at the time of writing, around 1870, I think, nobody knew that. And that was true because Captain Ross had sort of got to the edge of Antarctica, to the Ross Ice Shelf, in fact, named after him. And nobody knew anymore. Sorry, nobody. Then he says, all we at present, sorry, is that someone speaking?
Sorry. No, I was just agreeing with you, that's all. Sorry.
Okay. All we at present know, again we got the verb know, is that snow and hail, howling winds and indescribable storms and hurricanes prevail, and that in every direction human ingress is barred by unscaled escarpments of perpetual ice. What wonderful writing. Actually, where you see the quote marks there, that is not Rowbottom speaking, it's some Irish writer who published a paper in the 1880s, I think. Great piece of writing. Extending farther than eye or telescope can penetrate and becoming lost in gloom and darkness. That's just a fantastic piece of writing, but it's entirely fanciful. I mean, no one knew at that time what the Antarctica was like. Ross was the one who got the furthest at that time. Now we know, it's much different. Here's Felicity Aston, who I met, 3-4 years ago, who persuaded me to go to Antarctica, which I did, but not as far as she did. She is a great woman, and she's a really honest woman. I would just like it if some of these Antarctic deniers could just meet her and she could share her stories. And I think it's one thing to sort of write bad things about someone about their YouTube video. It's another thing to meet the person and talk about their experiences. Here is her route. If you can see the cursor, that bottom bit there I'm outlining is the famous ice wall. That's the bit that Ross saw and reported back and Rowbottom wrote about. On the right of that ice wall is McMurdo Station, Antarctic Station, and that actually does get you past those unscalable escarpments. And there, in fact, they have actually, in 2005, built a highway, the South Pole Traverse, which goes up the Leverett Glacier and takes you to the South Pole. It saved a lot of aviation fuel when they finished that. Felicity was flown across the Ross Ice Shelf, the base of the Leverett Glacier, and then she skied. God knows how, but she did it. She skied 500 miles to the South Pole, and then skied another 1,000 miles back to Hercules. So, anyone who says that Antarctica doesn't exist must be talking nonsense, or Felicity is lying. But I met her. She's a really nice person. She is not a liar. Plus, there's like hundreds and hundreds of other people doing mainly grunt work at these stations, driving big machines, repairing pipes, doing all kinds of stuff. There's not that many scientists there. Right, so that's just to say, it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy to think the Earth has the shape that I drew here. You cannot explain the South Pole. Antarctica is the biggest problem for flat Earth, or for level is horizontal, if you like. And now, for the next part, which is about synonyms. Two synonyms are words which have exactly the same meaning you can replace them, one for the other, in a sentence without changing the truth value of the sentence or proposition. Also, if they mean the same, the proposition that you form when you replace with those synonyms will mean the same. So, as I say, horizontal, if level means exactly the same as horizontal, then horizontal is horizontal means the same as level, means the same as level is horizontal, or horizontal is level. They all say the same thing, and the key point is they say nothing that's very interesting. They just say that horizontal is horizontal. Okay, so moving to, I'm going to stop sharing, go to the video. And can you hear me okay still? Can you see
Yeah,
Jones and Amy? Yes.
let me see what I've got going on with.
So I'm started about 5 minutes in, so we sadly had to skip Buster's sort of guitar music. And
Whatever shall we do? Oh my goodness!
well, I remember you got a bit angry, Blue, when that happened to you. So you remember?
Let me see if I can adjust
Okay.
the size of this screen a little
Thank you.
bit. We don't need to see. I won't even bother showing the chat. We'll just get rid of all that stuff. Let me bring it down to the size like that, and then I'll move it over here.
I see.
And we'll expand it like that. And now we've got a nice, fairly large view of it. So, okay.
Let's go.
Are you there, Mike Jones?
Can you hear that okay? Can you hear Emma speaking?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, I'm here. I'm just trying to get collar on the dog.
Love that. Love that, the collar on the dog. And there's more about the dog later, but I thought that was quite fetching.
Oh, so we're walking the dog this morning. Okay, Bebby, I don't know if you noticed in the live chat that in your honour, we are going to use definitions from the Oxford Dictionary.
Right. Now that was the trap. That was the trap they thought they had laid, which actually they fell into themselves. I knew they were going to do this because they're obsessed by level being horizontal. What they tried to do was to say, well, let's look up the definition of level in the Oxford Dictionary. You heard Emma mention that.
Yeah.
And you'll find out from that dictionary that, well, level means exactly the same as horizontal. I guess they thought that was pretty smart, but just didn't realize the trap. And I think actually, even when I've explained for this whole presentation the trap they fell into, they will not realize that they fell into it. So it's all fine. We're happy. They're happy.
I have one quick question.
Yeah.
I believe that the Oxford English Dictionary has more than one definition for level, doesn't it?
Well, I think it does. But they didn't. Yeah, they didn't show that one. But let's.
Given how they cherry pick definitions, that's by the by.
Yes. There is more to come. There's more to come. Listen
I'm
on.
sure there is. I mean, that was my initial thought was which definition are they going to use?
Let's not preempt. Let's not preempt. We shall see. Was my understanding.
But if it's easier if we just agree on one specific dictionary.
I will agree to agree, but that was going to be what I was going to kick off with: the meanings of level, the meanings of horizontal, the meaning of a globe. So.
Oh, okay. Well, you and Mike take it away. Carry on, Mike, if you're happy.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds good. Well, why don't we just start with rational then, because that's like the first word, unless we're going to have is and it needing to be defined.
I'm going to skip over this bit because it's not really interesting to define rational in the way the Oxford Dictionary does it. So if no one objects, I'm going to skip forward to the minute or so.
Oh, that's fine with me.
Sound good?
Okay. I mean, it begs the question as what according to reason means. Oh God, yes. Let's go on. No, we're not. I'm perfectly happy with it. I said I was happy. Yeah, I had to keep saying that.
Great. All right. So, is it rational? Is it logical? Is it reasonable?
Yeah.
To believe. So we post believe.
Yep, that one is an acceptance that a statement is true or that something exists.
Is that good?
That will do it.
Excellent. That level is horizontal.
The statement here being the conjunction that level is horizontal and
Correct.
that the Earth is a globe, correct? It's a conjunction, not just a single.
Well, we're going to start with level is horizontal, and we'll get to the end.
Can we just start
Level.
with globe?
Why don't we just start with level?
Can we
Since
start
it's in
with
the
globe?
beginning. No, we're going one by one. You were fine with doing rational and then belief.
You notice Mike getting a little bit excited at this point.
Just do level. Let's jump to the end. You're bizarre,
Okay.
Betty. You're really bizarre. Level.
Can you not say stuff is bizarre? Let's just go to the.
Well, it is
let's
bizarre.
what we're going to
It's
discuss.
strange. It's strange. It's odd that we would go 1, 2, 7. Why don't we just go 1, 2, 3?
All right, that's fine.
Excellent. Level.
So we start with level.
Excellent.
Okay. That is a horizontal plane or line.
Excellent.
And then we have horizontal, which is parallel to the plane of the horizon at right angles to the vertical, a horizontal line.
Those both
So
sound
on this definition, can I get a word in edgewise, please? So on this definition,
yeah, you can get a word in edgewise in the middle of my sentence. Yeah. Why don't you just wait for me to stop talking, Betty? Now it's done talking. You're ready to go.
Am I ready to go?
Are you asking yourself?
Gave him a whole 30 seconds there, which I will skip.
Yes.
Bebby, did you have something to say about horizontal?
No, I thought Mike was talking and said I interrupted, so I was waiting for Mike. Right.
Was this 30 seconds gap too short for you? Be sure to use it next time.
So I'll start, and I'd like to be able to finish. So the definition you've given of level is as a horizontal plane. So by this definition, level is horizontal. And it is like, you remember, Mike, I asked you about analytic propositions, those which are true in virtue of their meaning. Under that definition, a level surface is by definition a horizontal surface, correct?
And under a synthetic proposition, it's also a horizontal surface, correct?
Say that again.
And you asked about analytical propositions. Shall we do synthetic propositions as well? Both analytically and synthetically, it is.
Synthetic proposition is just one that's not analytic, which is not true in virtue of the meaning of the terms. But as you have
But not
defined
analytic means you can prove it.
Mike, you interrupted me there. I was speaking.
The definition.
A horizontal plane.
The definition.
Did you hear him say the definition?
Yes, very clearly.
Very clearly, the word "the" always indicates uniqueness. He's saying there's only one definition. Yet,
they do that a lot, don't they?
They do. Not too long after that, he then says that I might bring that up if I can find it. He then says that bat can mean like a baseball bat, or it can mean a flying animal. So
Well, it's as you highlight the point that he said there 4 minutes ago in this very Discord server. He posted a screenshot of the Oxford Languages Dictionary definition of level, and it's a noun, it's an adjective, it's a verb. So straight away, he's just debunked where he says the definition.
Yeah, totally. But let's move on. And level is horizontal by definition, and you would be insane. You would be insane to deny it. You'd be insane to deny the truth of that statement under that definition. Let's be clear on that. If you're using level as by definition the same meaning as horizontal, then if you say level is not horizontal, you are saying horizontal is not horizontal, or level is not level. Excuse me. So you would be insane to deny that level is level or horizontal, or deny that horizontal is horizontal, but under that meaning.
Under the definition.
No, there are other definitions of level.
Yeah, but they can't change from being horizontal. Otherwise, they would be paradoxical.
Let's just listen to that again. That what he says makes no sense whatever to me.
They can't change from being horizontal.
He says they can't change. The definition or the meanings of the word can't change from being horizontal. Is that what he means?
Otherwise, they would be paradoxical.
And why would they be paradoxical?
It makes no
Why would
sense.
that be? Look, I'm happy to go.
Because it's a straight line or it isn't a straight line.
Mike, I'm happy to go with that definition for now. I'm just saying that.
No. Are you going to temporarily agree with it, or are you going to agree with it?
I temporarily agree. A definition simply expresses the meanings of the terms that you're using here, level, and here horizontal.
Do you change meanings of terms when you go through your life?
If you agree with the other person what you mean, then that is fine.
It's fine that level is horizontal. We're done then.
There are many definitions in the dictionary, some of them contradictory. As long as you agree on the definitions.
No, there are none. There are no definitions in the Oxford Dictionary that contradict this definition. None.
I don't
Zero.
have it in front of me. What do we think about that? Are there any definitions in the OET that contradict the definition of level as horizontal?
I haven't looked at all the definitions in the Oxford English Dictionary. I suspect I know why they use an Oxford, because if you go to Merriam-Webster, it does contradict it.
Yes, that would
Absolutely.
be the yeah.
That's why they've gone to Oxford, because usually they'll post Merriam-Webster left, right, and centre, but on this one occasion, they've definitely gone to Oxford for that reason.
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
I don't have it in front of me.
You should have prepared.
But let's go with that definition. That is fine.
Excellent. Level is horizontal. What else can I do? What else can I do for you?
Now, before we move on, there was something else that Mike said. If you heard, discussed with him, and just to be fair to him, I discussed by DM analytic versus synthetic propositions. He still thinks that proposition can be both analytic and synthetic. Now, what analytic means is a proposition which is true or false only in virtue of its meaning. So stuff like a triangle is a plane figure enclosed by 3 straight lines. A bachelor is an unmarried man. Yellow is a color. That kind of thing. So propositions that are true or false in virtue of their meaning, but only in virtue of their meaning. A synthetic proposition is one which is true both in virtue of its meaning and stuff that's going on in the world. So by definition, an analytic proposition cannot be the same as a synthetic proposition. A synthetic proposition, by definition, is one that is not analytic. It exhausts all the possible propositions they are, and they're mutually exclusive. Mike, can I blame him for not knowing a sort of a point of logic? Well, I did try and help him with it by DM, and I did sort of say, and he knows I've studied the subject considerably, but he just sort of went on just saying, oh, no, it could be both analytic and synthetic. Right. The Earth, is that consistent? Would it be rational to believe that level is horizontal and that the Earth is a globe? The other day,
now that we've agreed that level is horizontal,
right,
what's the definition?
I go, right? You interrupted me in full flight. Yeah?
Okay.
Right. The other day, you said that a globe is a kind of toy or a desk toy in the shape of
a globe. Yes, a globe.
You interrupted me again.
I'm agreeing with you, Betty.
The other day, you said that a globe is a form of sort of desk toy. So when we say that people believe the Earth is a globe, do they believe that the Earth is a desk toy? Well, no. There is another definition of globe which says.
Can you post that, please, Emma? The Oxford definition
of a globe.
Yes,
Oxford,
we have it.
Please.
Yeah, it's in the live chat.
Excellent. It's the Earth, right? It says
it just says
Earth.
The Earth. Yes, just the Earth.
Excellent. So, is the Earth the Earth? Yes. I agree. The Earth is the Earth.
So
A equals A.
globe, so on that definition, globe means Earth, correct?
The definition that we're using is the Oxford Dictionary. It's not a toy, desk toy. That would be like a globe or a toy globe. The globe is the Earth.
Right.
You're familiar with the A and the.
Yeah, sure.
Excellent.
No, well, my definition that I have says a globe is.
We're using Oxford.
You interrupted me. Will you stop this?
We're using Oxford.
Right, let me start again. There are several definitions of globe. One of them is a shape that is either spherical or approximately spherical. So when I say,
Yeah.
is the Earth a globe, or you're interrupting, if I say the Earth is a globe, am I saying the Earth is the Earth, or am I saying the Earth is a spherical or approximately spherical shape?
Don't know. I don't read your mind.
So when we say, right, so you don't know what the Earth is a globe means as ordinary.
When you say it, no, when you personally say it, I don't know what you mean.
Say that again.
When you say it.
Were we not just going to agree on definitions and then get on to the discussion?
Do we not agree with this definition? Globe, Earth, globe.
So what does the proposition the Earth is a globe mean? According to you, Mike.
The definition that's in Oxford is the Earth, yes.
Okay, the Earth is the Earth. I agree with that. It's horizontal as I defined. I agree with that. So is it rational to believe both? Yes, we're done.
Excellent. That's great. Level is definitely horizontal, and we can agree that the Earth is the Earth. It's been wonderful chatting with you, Betty. I can't believe, so we've now tackled, it's not possible for two people to be below each other, and level is definitely horizontal.
Okay, but it doesn't end there. I'll skip over the sort of boring bits in between, but the next bit is key. Having a bit of a problem with YouTube here.
Yeah. Can I just say that that's the most cherry-picked citation from the Oxford Dictionary I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, quite. But that was the trap they thought they were laying, wasn't it? Globe now.
Yeah.
Still a bit crap. Let me try again. Here we go. A globe noun means a shape that is spherical or approximately spherical. So we're asking is it true that the Earth is an approximately spherical shape? We don't mean the Earth is the Earth.
I know.
What
Great.
is...
Are you gonna...
Sorry.
Now here you see, I think the penny dropped with Mike. He realized that if someone says they believe that the Earth is a globe, they're not saying that they believe the Earth is the Earth. I think it hit him there, and then you can see what happens.
Go ahead, sorry. I'm on a delay.
Yeah.
He kept saying that I'm on a delay. Anytime he got into trouble, he was on a delay with his phone, but I heard no problems with the phone.
But is that rational then? Do you want to continue with that? Because obviously Mike and you seem to have a different idea of a globe.
Yeah, I mean by globe, or one of the definitions, I mean a shape which is a surface which is approximately spherical. That's what I mean. And that's what most people mean when they ask, is the Earth a globe? They mean, what is the shape of the Earth? That's what they mean. And when they say it's a globe, they mean it's a shape that is approximately spherical.
Okay.
I don't think that when anybody's talking about global warming, they're thinking to themselves, spherical warming.
About global warming, they're not talking about spherical warming, as if to prove that global had nothing to do with spheres.
Global warming.
Approximately spherical.
Okay.
I don't think that when anybody's talking about global warming, they're thinking to themselves, spherical warming.
You got that?
Yep.
That's sort of truly warped, isn't it?
Is a bit.
Warming. They're thinking to themselves, spherical warming. I just think that they're thinking about the world.
They're thinking about the globe. That's why it's called global warming.
Across the world.
That's fine. Yeah, bat and bat are two different words. Bow and bow are two different words. They can mean different things.
Oh,
Yeah.
Mike. And there, lovely. Bat and bat. Yeah, bat like cricket bat, baseball bat, and bat the flying thingy. So words can have different meanings, but if it's the word level, then only ever we can only talk about the meaning of level.
That's it. It's only got one meaning, hasn't it? All of a sudden.
All of a sudden, yeah. I mean, how can he hold that sort of stuff in his head all at the same time? I don't know. There's a bit more.
I think if we worked that out, we'd be in danger.
Yes, don't go there. Don't go there.
Don't go there.
Mike, for you, the Earth is a globe is an analytic proposition, correct?
That's just the definition.
So what if I talk about the proposition the Earth is spherical or approximately spherical? Is that the same proposition?
I'd ask you to why you have it spherical and or approximately spherical, and if you could pick one.
Say that again.
Can you pick one? Is it spherical or is it approximately spherical?
Let's go for approximately spherical.
Okay, so define approximately spherical.
Approximately spherical means that the figure has a center, and that the distance from the center to any point on the surface is approximately the same.
Excellent. So three-dimensional.
Mike, you interrupted again.
For fuck's sake, I'm agreeing with you. Oh my God, I'm agreeing with you.
If you interrupt me,
maybe it's the delay. Maybe it's the delay where I'm coming in on the middle of a word and you're thinking I'm interrupting it.
Yeah, you then got the delay thing again. And he also came later that when I said right, meaning is that correct, he would sort of butt in, but that puzzled me because he was immediately butting in when I said something, as if immediately, and if there were no delay, but he's blaming it on the phone delay.
It's possibly a delay, Betty. I'm just agreeing with you. I could be maybe 2 seconds delayed because I'm out walking my dog. If I am and I'm stepping on a word, I'm trying to find just a little bit of dead air where I can agree with you and just say, yeah, I agree. So three-dimensional, correct? Over.
Right, should I start again with, you asked for a definition of approximately spherical. And noticed how long it takes to get to a definition of approximately spherical.
Well, for normal people, that's about 10 seconds. But
Yes to that.
You know what's funny? Let me just stop for 1 second. What's funny is because you're British, in the middle of sentences, you don't even know you do this. You go, comma, right? And when I hear comma, right, I tend to agree or disagree. So if you can stop doing that, you won't hear me interrupt.
Your fault for being English.
Okay, so I don't say right?
Hear me interrupt.
Okay, so I don't say right? He thought that was funny.
Well played, Betty. Well
Right.
Right.
How about that?
Well played, Betty. Well played. Proceed.
Okay, we have some agreement. I'll try and avoid that Britishism. So, definition of spherical. A spherical surface, one which has a center where any radial. Right, I'm going to. Sorry, I said right again. I'm going to move back to the presentation, if that's okay. I can. Right, share. Window. There we go.
let's see if it's going to pick it up. Yeah.
Picked it up?
Yep.
Is it it a good size?
Yeah, we're good.
So they really didn't spot this. That if you could see that that's why Mike sort of gave up and Bev sort of white knighted him for a bit. He'd seen that the Earth is a globe, which is a synthetic proposition, not true solely in virtue of its meaning. It is in nowhere similar to the proposition the Earth is the Earth. I think he sort of saw that, perhaps briefly. You can prove nothing about the shape of the Earth from a vacuous statement like that. If level is horizontal means exactly the same as horizontal is horizontal, then that is something you have to agree to. You'd be insane to deny it, but that is not what horizontal is level means. Yeah, we've seen that. Yeah, a bit more about analytic propositions. I think I've already said this, but let's go over again. Analytic is true solely in virtue of its meaning. Bachelor, married man, triangle, plane figure, enclosed by straight lines. A synthetic proposition is one that is not true or false solely in virtue of its meaning. Obviously, meaning enters into the truth value of all propositions, but some are solely true in virtue of that meaning, some are not. And the importance of synthetic propositions is that they inform you something about the world, which you have to find out by finding it out from the world, by perception or other means of gaining knowledge. And this was a famous sort of point in the history of philosophy. As I said, we leave the medieval era, and the church dominated scholastic philosophy and the era of science, which sort of begins with Descartes and Galileo and Boyle and all those great people. Early astronomers discovered that the morning star, which rises close to the sun, i.e. it's Venus, and the evening star, which sets close to the sun, are one and the same object. Now, they would have called it, before they realized that, they would have called it the morning star and the other, as it were, the evening star. So they understood the meanings. They understood the meanings of those two terms. They did not know until astronomers came along and said, they're the same object. They're the same star, as they thought it was. They did not know that until they made that discovery. So the morning star cannot mean the same as the term the evening star, even though they happen to refer to the same object, the planet Venus. And that's an absolutely key point, and it's the same with level and horizontal. Oh yeah, here's something from Saragaki. I took this in the comments section of the video before it disappears. Saragaki says, Ad Edby, surely you understand that the statement level is horizontal is the conclusion of the argument and not a premise. And he then went on to say that, well, once you've concluded that level is horizontal, you then have definitions. You know it's true by definition. Well, that's complete nonsense, because if you're going to have the statement level is horizontal is the conclusion of an argument, then that argument must have used those terms with the definition of those terms. So that's completely arse about face. What definitions of horizontal and level were used in that supposed argument? If synonymous, then the conclusion follows immediately. If you say, I'm going to define level as meaning the same as horizontal, I can immediately conclude that level is horizontal by virtue of my definition of the meaning. But if they're not synonymous, then what is the argument? Right. Horizontal surface is a plane surface that is perpendicular to a vertical line. I think we can all agree with that. The vertical line is one that follows the direction of gravity at that point. Now, people have confronted the globe deniers before with this very point, and they tend to say, oh, well, gravity doesn't exist, but that's because they're thinking of Newtonian gravity. But you don't have to believe in Newton, and we all do, most of us do, but you don't have to believe in Newton to believe that heavy objects tend to fall in the same direction at the same place. Gravity is from gravitas, which means heavy. Direction of gravity can just mean the direction in which heavy objects tend to fall. So a horizontal surface is a plane surface that is perpendicular to a vertical line, but not necessarily to every vertical line. Let's take a look at that. Scientific definition of level, which is not the same as the Oxford English Dictionary definition that they wheeled out, and I'm sure there are. I mean, the OED is enormous work. I'm sure it has all the definitions, including this one. The scientific definition is a level surface being a surface which at each point is perpendicular to the direction of gravity, the direction of heaviness at that point. So level does not mean the same as horizontal. It may still be true that every level surface is a horizontal surface, but that has to be proved by observation and not by definition alone. And so in that respect, it's just like the morning star and the evening star. We have two different definitions, two different meanings of level and horizontal. Can we establish whether they mean the same thing or not? So if a level surface is a horizontal surface, then from the scientific definition of level, then a horizontal surface is one which at each point is perpendicular to the direction of gravity, which it clearly follows. If level is horizontal, then gravity has the same direction at every point. So that's your conclusion from those two definitions of level and horizontal, which are different. If level is horizontal, if they both refer to the same thing, then you must conclude that gravity has the same direction everywhere. The Earth would have that sort of weird shape that I showed right at the beginning. But then how do we know that gravity has the same direction at every point? You don't. So there's a saying that one man's modus ponens is another man's modus tollens. So let P be level is horizontal, and Q being gravity has the same direction at every point. Well, we know P implies Q, minding our P's and Q's. P is true, Q is true. Then reversing that by modus tollens, not Q implies not P. So if gravity made a mistake, if gravity doesn't have the same direction at every point, then level is not horizontal. That question cannot be answered by logical definition alone. We have to make observations. But I'm getting through this. I thought that's really what I wanted to say, that it is key to understanding this point that level is horizontal. It's not true by definition alone, by meaning alone. Otherwise, it would be vacuously true. It would mean it would be totally unhelpful. And it cannot be both analytic and synthetic. Level is horizontal is a synthetic proposition, which has to be proved or disproved. And I think we can safely say it's been disproved by observation and not by logic. So, any points to discuss on that? If not, I was going to. Mike has a long rant about LIGO, which I didn't really understand, but I think people here do understand LIGO and might help for comment from someone else.
Yeah, we can do that. But what you're talking about here is exactly the mistake that Bev has been making all along.
Yes.
It's actually affirming the consequent, I think.
No, it's not.
Not really. It's more of a
that.
begging the question, actually. But
it's a begging the question and not understanding this distinction between analytic, propositions true in virtue of their meaning, and synthetic, where you have to go out into the world and make certain measurements.
yeah, you really can't. You cannot sort this out through definitions alone.
No, exactly.
That's not possible. You have to make some observations, do some tests, do something to show which way it is.
Which is what Jesse did, correct? Well, it's not just Jesse, it's millions of scientists from sort of Aristotle office.
Yeah, exactly.
Aristotle knew that. Sorry.
No, exactly.
Now, let me see if I can find this. No, I mean, that's completely wrong. If it's a tautology, if it's the statement's true in virtue of its meaning, it has nothing to do with reality except in a vacuous sense. And now this is where I think Mike is reading from a script. Let's see what you think.
Oh, yes.
You're going to go back to the YouTube now?
Yes, we've still got your presentation. we lost him.
You hear that?
No, you're still showing
No.
us your presentation. You didn't switch over.
Ugh, I'm sorry.
We were trying to tell you, but I don't think you could hear us.
Oh no, I could hear you, but I wondered what was going on. Right, I
Ah.
turned that off.
Yeah.
You
Although
don't
actually,
ha-
what I just played was just complete nonsense.
you,
Let me move forward. I want to find the bit where Mike starts going about LIGO, and then I can take a rest.
you don't have to turn it off and start a new stream each time. You can just
okay.
you can just click on the window, click on the present button at the bottom and choose a new window without shutting it.
Oh, can I? Okay, sorry about that, but I'm sort of done now. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Now we got it.
Construction. It is literally irrefutable in architecture and construction. There is nobody over at Little Blue Ops that is going to be able to produce a three-dimensional CAD drawing of LIGO.
Right, over to you, Blue guys. This is beyond my expertise, but you heard what he said.
Well, producing a three-dimensional drawing of LIGO would not be a problem at all. I think I can probably name off the top of my head 50 guys that can do it quickly. I could do it. So I don't know what his point is. I don't know what he's trying to say.
Let's go back and see what he's saying.
And test every single vertical in the world. I wish you well, but we have proven it in reality. We have agreed to it, that it can be established. It's the basis of all construction. It is literally irrefutable in architecture and construction. There is nobody over at Little Blue Ops that is going to be able to produce a three-dimensional CAD drawing of LIGO. They know it's impossible. They can't do it. This is the most hilarious thing. This is something to go back to your buddies with, because they say LIGO is two straight arms, horizontal. They will not be able to produce a ball and produce, Effie Dogma tried this and he failed miserably, and produce two buildings that exist in reality, both of which are 2.5 kilometers long, that are perfectly horizontal. They have to be perfectly horizontal and are capable of existing on a ball, being built on a ball.
That makes sense.
No, that is a gigantic straw man. Every bit of it is. Yeah, there are two LIGOs, right? One at Livingston, Louisiana. The other one is in Hanford, Washington. The two arms of LIGO lie in a plane, and that plane, as LIGO tells you in their documentation, and it actually, we found finally the place where they identify exactly the location. But those tangent planes are tangent at a point somewhere within the triangle formed by the two arms. Making a 3D drawing of that is quite simple. That's not a hard thing to do. Would you agree, farmers?
Yes, that's relatively straightforward.
Yeah, it's not that difficult to do.
No.
Now, what Mike's misrepresenting is by saying things like they're perfectly horizontal. No, they're not. Not by the definition of perfectly horizontal. They're just not. They are in a plane which is tangent to the earth at one point, like a tangent plane has to be. It can only touch the earth at one spot.
Mm-hmm.
And the northwest arm starts at 529 feet elevation. The end of it is, which is actually the vertex of those two arms, is 533 feet elevation. And the far end of the other arm, the southwest arm, is 538 feet elevation. There's an 8-foot elevation change. When you look at the starting point, tangent point, all the way over to the other end of the thing. But it's more subtle than that. You now have to take the elevations along each of the arms and plot them to see if that forms a straight line or not, and they don't. The elevations plot a curve which is most accurately described as 8 inches times the distance in miles squared from the starting point. We've shown this over and over again. And they just don't understand it.
Would there be any simpler way of explaining it so that they understand it, do you think?
They don't want to understand it. That's the problem. We've shown them all kinds of drawings, and we've shown them all the documentation. They've got access to the same things we've got access to. They just simply stick their head in the sand and scream, no, 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 no. But it's a fact.
Can I ask a question, Blue?
Yeah.
Do you think that's unable or unwilling?
Unwilling is what I would say.
Can I ask Bebby a question?
Yeah, go ahead. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
You are you are a professor?
No, I used to teach, and I was not at the professorial level, but I understand a bit about the subject.
Where did you used to teach?
At a university in England. I won't say where in case bad people are listening.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean that.
I taught first year university students logic and philosophy.
Do you think now? This is my opinion. My opinion is that the utility or the thing that I get from flat Earth is that I learn things by trying to come up with responses to the claims made by flat earthers. It is really a learning experience to me. I don't think it's possible to, it is possible in some cases, but not over the internet, to change minds. But the thing that about flat earth for me is I've learned things, but do you think that this is like, sometimes I think that somebody as educated as you, like maybe your time is being wasted. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. People ask that. They say, yeah, but then what do you do? Let me go into, because everyone asks me this point, and they say, why do you bother with this? I have been fascinated in, let's say, weird theories about the world for a long time. And that ties in very well with my interest in the history of science. You know, why did Aristotle not think to investigate how projectiles move and fall, or how ordinary objects fall? Why didn't he think? There are all sorts of tests that the Greeks could have done, but they didn't. So it's an interesting question of why science and knowledge developed in the way it did, and also what impeded knowledge. For a long time, it was thought that the Catholic Church was responsible for the slow development of astronomy. Actually, that's not. There's an element of truth in that, but it's not entirely true, because a lot of the great astronomers were Jesuits. The first person actually to experimentally determine the freefall acceleration due to gravity was not Galileo. Galileo sort of worked it out theoretically and thought that was the case. The first person to experimentally determine that was a Jesuit. So it's not as simple as just blaming the church. It was more that in the 13th century, as I explained in another talk, I think to Bev's group, in the 13th century, St. Thomas Aquinas achieved this marvelous synthesis between Greek science, which before his time was regarded with great suspicion by the church. He achieved the synthesis between Greek science and Catholic theology, and that that was a great thing because it enabled people to study science, Aristotelian and the ancient Greek science, in a way they wouldn't get blamed by the church. I mean, there were occasional elements of friction, but that's broadly the case. And actually, the resistance to Galileo was not so much from the church, who were advised by the church scientists, but rather from the adherents of Aristotle. So that's just an example of where understanding how people think about stuff, apparently simple stuff that anyone could have worked out, is impeded in all sorts of ways by prior beliefs that they have. And I think certainly for the globe deniers, there's a strong element of sort of fundamentalist religion, one, and two, there's also this sort of conspiracy belief. If you have a really compelling belief that you're being lied to somewhere by somebody, then you're not going to believe anything that contradicts with that base belief. And there's a lot of research that suggests that people actually aren't persuaded by logic. They're persuaded by some very deep rooted sort of prejudices and beliefs that override any sort of logic. So, in answer to your question, am I wasting my time? Well, possibly, but it's an interest of mine. How we develop our theory of the world is an interest of the mind. Plus, I am drafting another book on this very subject about knowledge, epistemology, it's called, and logic, and how our sort of thinking about perception and how the actual sensory mechanism of vision, the vestibular system, which tells us which way is up and which way is down, how all this interacts with our sort of logical ways of thinking. So does that sort of answer the question?
Yeah, it does. I think the value of your talks are showing people just what logic consists of. It's not just. It seems to me that for a lot of, especially flat earthers, logic is simply that's a fallacy, and that's a fallacy, and it's not the actual working out of the structure of an argument. I'm sure many Globers know this, but certainly not everybody is exposed to that level of detail in argumentation.
The virtue of logic is that you take a proposition, which we all kind of. There's actually research about mathematicians that they write these proofs, but actually they're really hand waving. They're sort of waving it along. There's something else going along when we sort of reason. But the virtue of logic is if there's any dispute or any question about what is true or false, then you can actually break stuff down. I mean, it's kind of boring. It's kind of boring, but if you break the whole thing down into separate propositions, which you either agree with or disagree with, and then see what follows from the ones you agree with, then that should settle the question. But you are still against some very deep confusions, such as this whole tautology thing. You know, it's kind of obvious to me that you cannot prove anything from the statement "snow is snow." Nothing of any interest follows from that. All that actually logically follows is a necessary true proposition. So there's a great virtue in logic if you have the patience. But I think the other thing with globe deniers is, as well as these compelling sort of belief in conspiracy, they don't have patience, and you do need a lot of patience for logic.
One final thing, which is one of the things that I find myself getting upset about. For a class that I took like a year ago, we had to read Clifford, The Ethics of Belief, and he lays out that we have a moral duty, right, to not promote false beliefs, and I think that's one of the reasons that people react on the globe side to people like Bev is we perceive him as, if not in fact he is, as extremely dishonest, and this breaking of epistemic norms is kind of infuriating for people.
Yeah, I think the other big question I have here is my whole sort of I'm interested in real life, in public life. I worked in public policy for quite some time after I left teaching, and there you are confronted with. Here's the irony: people talk about conspiracies, but they haven't the faintest idea what the conspiracies really are. They really don't know the truth, and I found it fascinating how people in public life can. They may have to promote something. They may have to promote something which is actually they know is not true. And I was fascinated by the way that people coped with that. And usually, some of them would say, "Well, it's all rubbish, but I've got a family to feed. I need to be paid. I'm just doing it." And you get small groups of these who sort of have cough with each other and sort of conspire against the establishment. And then there was another group. I call them the Boy Scouts or Girl Guides, and they would somehow persuade themselves that this stuff that they sort of unconsciously knew was false, they tried to persuade themselves that it was true. So I have a deep fascination with the whole psychology of denial, which I'm probably victim of myself. One can never tell. You always think you're sort of completely honest with yourself, but it happens to all of us, right?
Well, I
And
do have a bit of a correction to Brenda. It's not that we think Bev is dishonest. We know Bev is dishonest because there was a conversation probably a couple months ago now on Red's Rhetoric's channel where we got Bev to admit that he is talking shit and talking out of his ass 90% of the time.
Yes, your correction noted. I was trying to be generous.
Well, let's be factually accurate. It's not that we suspect he's a liar. He's admitted to being a liar.
Yep.
yeah, before we get
Everyone here, sorry, everyone here should read a very short book by Harry Frankfurt, the philosopher. It's called On Bullshit, and distinguishes bullshitters from liars. A liar knows the truth and is consciously lying, with the intent to deceive. Whereas a bullshitter sort of has no regard for the truth whatsoever. And I hope I don't offend Bev if he's listening. I think Bev falls into that class. He'll sort of laugh stuff off. You'll see him going through these debates, and he'll pass on something. He'll pass over something that's clearly shows where he's made the mistake. He just laughs about it, or says something else, or says something ridiculous, and that's the category into which he falls. Whereas Mike Jones, I think, if you listen to how Mike gets passionate, you heard him getting quite excitable. Mike's absolutely passionate, and I feel Mike is sincere in some sort of strange way. I don't know what other people think.
Well, maybe some of it. I think with some of them, it's like lying for Jesus. It's they want to bring people to come to believe in their religion, and they think that by proving the Earth is flat, they can do that. So if they have to deceive people into coming to Jesus, that's morally acceptable to them.
That's the
And yeah,
you've heard of the virtuous lie. It's actually called the virtuous lie. So good people
yeah.
will lie because they believe it's a good thing. Sorry, I interrupted Blue.
yeah, before we get too far off track, we need to get back to the debate, and we can discuss the philosophy here later. But
Fair enough. I'll go up back on mute here.
I've got just a little picture of LIGO, the Hanford, Washington site, and I've had it on the screen now for about 10 damn minutes. But it gives
Shall I close? Shall I close
no,
my
it's okay.
screen?
No, that's okay. You're fine. Leave yours just the way it is,
Okay.
because I'm showing this on YouTube right now, so that everybody can see the elevations that I was talking about. There's the tangent points down up here in the top, close to that 529.63 foot elevation. That arm becomes 533.78 feet at the vertex, and at the other end of the southwest arm down here in the lower left, 537.88, roughly 538 feet. So that's an 8-foot elevation change, but those arms form a plane, and that plane is tangent to the Earth back here at the 529-foot elevation. So can we make a CAD drawing of that? Easily, Mike. Not a problem. Very, very easily. And now let me go back and start sharing Bebby's screen again.
That's okay. I
There we go.
hadn't Blue. I hadn't really that much. There was one more part of that discussion. Call it the lollipop. You remember that? Let me just see.
No,
if
the
I can
lollipop,
find
yeah.
it. And I don't know. Let's just see. Right, here we are. Can you see that?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that it's worth discussing because it's a null, right?
Yeah.
And I explained to Bev, I think it was Bev, but not Mike. Mike had sort of dropped out by then. And to me, it seems if the idea of a tangent makes sense, which it did to Euclid, if the idea of a tangent at x makes sense, and a line that is perpendicular at x to that tangent, then you've got the null, haven't you? I really don't understand what they are not understanding here, but they do go on about it.
I don't either. It's pretty much defined that way. If that line passes through the center of the circle, or the center of the sphere, for that matter, and that's the requirement. It has to pass through the center. Then when it crosses the sphere or the circle, that is what we call normal to the surface. That's a surface normal. And a tangent drawn at that same intersection where that line is crossing the circle or penetrating the sphere, that tangent there is what we call a horizontal. I don't know what the problem is. It's definitional.
Let's just see what Bev says. I think I've got where.
And I know you're keen on your definitions too. You wouldn't like to be making mistakes. That's not a perpendicular though, Blue.
Live chat.
In Discord, it's type.
The lollipop perpendicular.
There you go. There you go. Thank you very much. Yes. Yeah. Do you imagine
right,
that
you don't
y
recognize
is
that
perpendicular to x?
Right, so you don't recognize that normals exist, correct?
I'm asking you, Bebby, do you think that y is perpendicular to x in that picture? Please, just simply.
It is perpendicular to the tangent.
Which isn't in the picture, right?
Circle. Yeah, he went on about that phrase. He said it's not in the picture. Well, Bev, you didn't draw it in the picture, did you? There's no tangent there because there is a tangent there, but you didn't draw it. The tangent isn't in the picture, no.
Okay. But it is a straight line, isn't it? The perpendicular.
Tangents. Yes, that's straight. Yeah.
Okay. So y isn't perpendicular to x.
No, y can't be perpendicular to a point. It can only be perpendicular to a tangent. We know all this, right?
Of course we do. Maths. That's why I'm saying we don't want to trick anybody into thinking that there is that.
Bev doesn't want to trick anybody, really. Says the guy who always starts with a horizontal and not a vertical. You always start with the vertical first.
That is a fact. That is a fact.
Yep. But if you start with the horizontal first, you can then say, oh, all verticals are perpendicular to it. Yes, but how did you get your horizontal in the first place? You have to start with the vertical. And from the vertical, you can derive your horizontal. But he knows that. That's why he always starts with the horizontal first. Then he can say all his bullshit.
Does he know that?
He knows. He's been fighting against it for so many years. He must know it because he avoids it like the plague, starting with the vertical first, just like he avoids actually stating what shape he thinks the Earth is. So he knows what he's doing.
Knows.
Is perpendicular because there's a line that's missing that is the perpendicular to y. It's not on the thing. X is not perpendicular to Y. The traditional X and Y graph that you remember from school, that's what perpendicular is.
Still haven't grasped Proposition 16 in Book 3, it seems. Don't worry, guys, you'll crack it one of these years.
Oh, do you want to take that on?
Keep banging the rocks together, guys.
Oh, we've sort of
Do
drifting a bit.
you, do you want
from
to
what the
take it
original-
on, Betty?
Let me have a look. Euclid's Elements. I really only wanted to stay half an hour here. Here I am. Book 3. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Half an hour.
1 hour, 25 minutes.
Hour and a half into it. Yeah.
It's an hour. Yeah. So 3.
Yeah.
Proposition 16. Yeah.
Yep.
The straight line drawn at right angles to the diameter of a circle from its end will fall outside the circle. Is that the one?
Yeah, it has to be outside of the circle, doesn't it? And no other straight line can be drawn other than one to cut the circle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, if you remember, I did the presentation on Thomas Aquinas. He actually mentions that very proposition.
Perpendicular, isn't it? Any straight line placed on a ball at any point will be perpendicular to the radius at the point it touches.
Or the diameter. Yeah, correct. So we're all in agreement here. There's a radius that it crosses the circle or the sphere, and that we can have a perpendicular to that radius, which is a tangent. So what is he not getting?
I don't know. Never been able to follow that argument.
But that's not what that picture shows. It just shows the Y. It doesn't show the perpendicular to it, does it?
It's normal to the surface, Bev.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you're getting at, Bev, here.
I'm saying it's very deceiving to let people think that that Y is perpendicular, because its perpendicular isn't on the page. It's like an imagined perpendicular, isn't it?
No idea what he's talking about. But what's that got to do with anything? We know that
imagining
a
things
tangent exists. We know that a tangent exists, and
Yes.
therefore we know that the point to which it is tangent will have a line perpendicular to it, which is y. So that's fine. All you've done is you've missed out the tangent bit. That's all.
Yeah.
But
so would you curve the X axis and then just place, or would you place where that perpendicular is? Would you call that X?
No, I really no idea what you're talking about.
We're talking about the axis of a graph and the perpendicularity of the axis, the X, Y, and Z Cartesian coordinate
that is
system.
not a graph. That is a circle to which you've drawn a normal. And the normal by definition is okay, guys.
Oh yeah. Just where do you start?
Could you sense the weariness of my voice at that point?
Yes. Yes.
Let's just go to the end. Let's go to the bitter end. It's 127 out of 130, so we're nearly there.
Oh,
it's perpendicular.
Just stuck a pin in a ball, Betty.
No.
Yeah, that's all that is. It's just a representation of somebody sticking a pin in a ball.
Yeah.
And then calling it a perpendicular.
I'm not sure we've got a show that would work very well, because most of it was shouting, to be honest. Some of it my shouting, I admit.
So I think you did all of the shouting, didn't you?
Actually, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Mike did all the interrupting, though.
Okay.
So it all evens out in the long run. Okay, I'll bid you guys goodbye. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay.
And we have come to a sort of agreement, haven't we?
That it's not rational to believe your dogmatic model and
not mine.
Level is horizontal.
It's not mine. It is people's model. It's not rational to believe that level is horizontal in your sense.
Model changes. Everybody's got a different one.
No,
Wally and whatever have a completely different one from you.
Well, I don't
You
know.
disagree?
I don't know whether they do. I have no idea.
Yeah, they do. They believe two people can be below each other simultaneously.
I think we're sort of agreed that if you believe that the Earth is spherical in shape, it is inconsistent to believe that, and to believe that all verticals are parallel. Clearly inconsistent. I shall leave it there. So farewell, guys.
Okay, thank you very much. After party, anybody wants to come in and discuss? Oh, again, I think we got a better discussion done.
Okay, that was pretty much it. You didn't see all of it, but you would not want to. You would not want to see all of that.
I did see most of it, unfortunately.
as did I, unfortunately.
It was somewhat painful in places.
Well, I remain amazed at the simple concepts these guys cannot get their heads around.
Yeah. And of course, all this is coming from a group of guys who deny being flat earthers but don't believe the Earth is a globe. And can I just point out today that SpaceX launched 4 private civilians to the ISS? Again.
Again.
Yep. I think it's the second time they've done it. I think it launched yesterday, and I think they docked earlier on today. But somehow the Earth's not a sphere.
There we go. Get the view sorted out a little better here. Although I don't think I've done it yet. Let me see. Oops. Don't want to do that. Is that smaller? I think I'm missing something over here. Yes, I am. There we go. I'll get it here in a second. I don't always get along with Discord. Let's see what else I can turn off. Which one of these things? Not that one. Oh, that one. There we go. Now I'm happy.
Hey.
That's got us back where it's just us. So Baby's gone there. He's back now.
I'm back. Yeah, I was just watching the YouTube of this.
All good.
I see Paige's going great guns.
Oh God, yes. Yeah, she's really spewing the nonsense over there.
Paige spew nonsense. It's very.
I know it's so unlike her, isn't it?
Someone like her, but it's also going on at Bev's. So I haven't looked at Bev's part of the world yet.
I can only presume that they're just doing it within Discord. I don't think he's live on YouTube. No.
All right. That's right. They're all going to listen in, aren't they?
Yeah.
Then they're going to do a show of the show of the show or something like that.
Oh, he should. Well, going by what he's done before, this has got to be at least 2 weeks worth.
Yeah.
You know, listening to 10 seconds, going back, repeating it. Oh, did he really say that?
Yeah. Did you hear that? He will say.
Yeah. It was. Sorry, go on.
Mike has DM'd me with he asked ChatGPT, which I'm sure we all know about. He asked if is level horizontal or level is horizontal, is it analytic or synthetic proposition? ChatGPT originally said it's synthetic, but I think because you can get you can get it to change its mind if you keep insisting it. Yeah, he sort of went on to it. And it's great. It's actually great. Mike can sort of talk to ChatGPT. He should stay there more often, really. You can have those 500 sort of 500 comments sort of things, and there's no limits. ChatGPT will sort of go on as long as you like. Yeah, he's persuaded it. It says, yes, you are correct. The phrase "level is horizontal" can be considered an analytic proposition and a tautology. Yeah, great. So I'm going to look at that. Mike sort of pinged me now, but I shall look at that later. But there you go. You could sort of you could program it so it sort of disagreed with Mike, and then they could just sort of go on forever. It might last for infinity or something.
Yes, as Turing test points out, ChatGPT is no arbiter of truth. I think a lot of these people think that whatever you ask ChatGPT, it will tell you the truth, but no, not necessarily.
Yeah,
It's not, it's not an AI either.
No, it's not.
No.
No. Correct.
Apparently, some professor in America at an American university got it into his head to ask ChatGPT if it had generated certain texts from students, and it kept saying yes, even if it hadn't.
Yeah, right.
So said professor failed all the students, so they couldn't graduate.
That's a bit hard, isn't it? A bit harsh.
Yeah.
I've got Mike DMing me again.
Oh dear.
Oh my goodness.
He said what I said made no sense. Thanks, Mike. Okay.
That's rich.
No comment.
Well, talking to these guys is very much like talking to a fence post.
Find you can have a more meaningful conversation with a fence post.
Oftentimes.
You could also build a fence with it, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
You'd actually have something useful left over.
Something useful. Right, it's 9:30 here. Thank you for listening to me for so long. I shall say goodbye now, unless there's anything else we need to.
Well, I thank you, Bebby, for the.
Thank you for hosting, Blue.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
And I shall see you later this week.
All right.
Good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night, Bebby.
Bye.
Yeah, I missed a super chat back up the way, but I don't know how to go back and find it now.
Yeah, it's too far back.
There's some way of doing it. I've seen other guys do it, but I don't know how.
I think it's somewhere in the creator page, isn't it? In your YouTube studio page.
Yeah, might be. I got to look into that. So whoever I forgot about, it was a 10 pounds or 10 euros. 10 pounds, I think. Gosh, I forgot who it was. Meant to write it down and I didn't. But anyway, whoever did that, thank you very much. I appreciate it. So yeah, that was a fairly predictable discussion with Mike Jones, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's any real surprises there, was there?
Nah, not really. And the usual load of misunderstandings and denials about things that are just definitions. I don't care what you want to say. Surface normals are a thing, well defined. And yes, you can say that line is perpendicular to that spherical surface. In every direction, it's perpendicular.
Yeah, see, them saying that would mean that they would have to admit it, and we know they can't do that.
Yeah, that's right.
But Blue, looks like the thing was from John Watson.
John Watson. Oh, thank you so much, John. How'd you find it?
I remember seeing John Watson earlier in the live chat before before the show kicked off, so it very well could have been from that.
Yeah, I think so. He's just back in the chat now. John Watson saying it was John Watson. There's a clue for you. Yeah, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
And you know, it's strange because I just happen to have an AutoCAD session open at the moment, and I just drew a circle, and I want to draw a line from it that's perpendicular to it. Well, you can, because one of the snap commands in AutoCAD is perpendicular. And when you click on the circle and pull the line out, so you've got a line, you can then rotate that line around the circle, and it goes around with it, and it remains perpendicular to the circle everywhere. Well, it's just an amazing little command, and if you use the same command that's called tangent, it will draw a tangent line to that circle.
You want to show it on screen? We can do that.
Hang on a minute. Let's just clean that up a tad. Share your screen. I will go. Where's my AutoCAD session? There it is. Right. Can you see this simple little circle I have on the screen here?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Let's draw a line, and let's draw it perpendicular to that circle. Let's just go from here. So that line is perpendicular to the circle. Oh, look. Oh, look. At some point, it'll cross. There you go. It'll ping across. But look, it's perpendicular. And now, if I say again, we'll draw a line and we'll draw it tangent. Oh, look. It's
Amazing.
tangent to the circle. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah. How is it AutoCAD knows how to do that?
Well, yeah. How is it? It's strange. Look, I thought I'd just show that.
Yeah, well, for the simple reason that any line which begins or crosses through the center of that circle and then crosses the circle itself must be perpendicular to the circle at the point it crosses it. That is a normal
we
to
have
the
to
circle.
remember, though.
What?
Computer programs like AutoCAD were written to the point that they're smarter than a Flurf. Yes, we should be scared of Skynet because of the growing amount of stupidity in the world.
Oh dear. Yeah.
Quite true.
Yeah. It's all right for you guys that can use CAD. The last time I had to design a control panel for a system, I got out the pencils and paper and drew it all by hand. It was easier.
Yeah, I almost fondly remember the days of sitting at a drawing board and having to do it all by hand. But I'm sorry, AutoCAD just makes it so much easier, especially now when, you know, somebody can say, oh, I've emailed you the new drawings and you can import them into yours and go, fine. Whereas before, the architect would say, sorry, guys, I've redesigned half the building. No, that's okay. We'll just literally throw all our drawings away and start from scratch again.
Yeah.
You know, I do have to agree with that, but the other thing about AutoCAD that I like is if you're using the same components or the same diagrams and markings over and over,
Yeah, just do
they're
blocks.
they end up being a quick item. You don't
Yeah.
have to do it all over again by hand.
Yeah, just
Everybody ends up with a block library.
Yeah, just do blocks and
Yeah.
suck them in there and put them where you like.
Because that's the thing with CAD. Once you've drawn something once, you've got it and you don't have to draw it again. Oh God, it saves so much time.
Oh yeah, and you get those canned libraries that have like every possible circular shape that you can think of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, those things are great.
Yeah, all those circular openings with flats on to hold the switches in the correct angles. That I had to draw repeatedly. Yes, I know. CAD probably would have been a lot quicker. Well, sorry, if it was a job I was going to have to do more than once, learning the CAD probably would have been quicker overall. But for one job,
Yeah, well, we sort of had it in a crude way with our templates, right? You know, we all had a drawer full of plastic templates for drawing various shapes and things.
Oh God, yeah, yeah. So, circle templates. You know, French curves. But yeah, you had a set of templates that might have the standard symbols for vowels for the the pipe work and that sort of thing. Because but I mean, drawing everything in pencil first until you knew it was right, and then when you were damn certain that was it, then you inked over it. Very nice sort of pieces of work that you produced at the end of it, but no, I could never go back to that after I'd met the bloody wall.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know I was not at all amused with AutoCAD, with CAD in general. The first CAD I used was by General Electric, actually. It was called GE Calma.
Mm-hmm.
Those were dedicated workstations, very, very expensive. And we were using them for electrical drawings. And I hated that thing. I came to the conclusion that it was a whole hell of a lot easier just to do the drawing by hand. But then AutoCAD came along, and suddenly things started becoming much easier. And I know now that I can do any kind of layout 3 times as fast using CAD as I could ever have done it on a drawing board. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I know that my drawing eventually did get digitized, simply because, of course, the whole panel was cut using one of these water jet cutters.
Oh yeah.
Which are bloody brilliant.
Very precise, aren't they?
Panel comes back, it's all folded to shape. All the holes are in exactly the right place and exactly the right shape. No rough edges.
No, it's a very smooth cut, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, if only I'd had CAD back in the day. I did a plant room for a pathology lab at one of the hospitals in Ipswich, and it was tight to begin with, and then they kept redesigning the building. It kept getting more Category 3 labs, and Category 3 labs have to have their own air supply. So each lab had to have its own little supply and extract unit. And I just had to keep redesigning it. At one point, I had the whole plant room. The plant room was like the first floor, and I had the whole thing lifted up by a foot just to try and fit everything in. I literally spent about 3 months just on the plant room. If I'd had that in CAD, wow, I'd have just done another one. Yeah, hang on a minute, just let me move everything around. I was rubbing it out, drawing it again, rubbing it out, drawing it again. Oh, fucking nightmare that was.
I've spent a few hours sitting in the waiting room at A&E in the Ipswich Hospital. That's the ER for our American friends. Waiting because a certain young lady of my acquaintance had a suspected broken ankle again.
I can't, because there were two units which I worked on. It might have been the Heathrow site, but it's too long ago. I can't remember anymore. But yeah, that job was a nightmare. Oh, I found I'd had AutoCAD. Of course, now it's gone full circle, and in the latest version of AutoCAD, you can directly import a PDF into AutoCAD and it will convert it for you, which is bloody marvellous.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that thing has gotten super smart over the years.
It really has. And I'm not going to touch Revit. That's even smarter.
I think the first AutoCAD I really got familiar with was version 13. Or 12, or version 12. Yeah.
Yeah, mine. Yeah, I started out on 11, and that was pre-Windows, because I think 12 was pre-Windows as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
You did everything in DOS, and then we went from 11 to 13, and it was just like, wow, what? We're getting rid of the other screen? Wow, this is amazing. None of this having to type bloody commands in on the command screen, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
I hated that.
And believe it or not, I'm still running AutoCAD version 2000i.
God, yeah, yes, I had that back in the day. Hey, if it still
2000i.
works.
It does. It still works. It's missing. Well, it won't do what you just did a few minutes ago.
No.
It would not recognize a perpendicular to a circle or a curved surface, which it does, which the versions do nowadays. But
yeah,
the reason I run 2000i is because I don't want to buy another one. And 2000i was back in the day when they didn't have any of that crap on it plugged into it, where they can turn it off, right?
Oh, there was a time when you used to have a dongle, didn't you? You had to plug a dongle into the back of your computer. Otherwise it wouldn't work.
I don't even have to have that. All I have to have is the code things, the passwords and all that junk.
Well, of course, now you don't buy a standalone version of AutoCAD, do you? You buy a license that you have to renew every year. Cheeky bastards. Yeah.
Yep. Which is why I don't have it. And why I don't use it. I don't do enough of it to justify that. And I can still make any drawing I want to make, because that's a full-blown version of 2000i. Hell, I paid $4,000 for that damn thing 20 years ago. It was expensive, but it belonged to you. It was yours.
Exactly. Of course, if you were doing that commercially, you'd be struggling, because when somebody, I can't remember what my AutoCAD set. Whenever you get a new version of AutoCAD, you set the save as, and you try and get it to save in the oldest version it can. Let's have a look at mine. See, mine, the farthest back mine will go is 2013. So even if I saved a drawing to 2013 and sent it to you,
I'd have to.
You wouldn't be able to open. You'd have to convert it, because you wouldn't be able to open it up. And obviously, commercially, and if you're sat in an office today doing it for a company, then you need to have a relatively modern, maybe a 2020, 2022 version or something.
Oh yeah, if I was doing it all the time, I would pay the $100 a month or whatever it is for the license fee. But and I had a 2010 version of AutoCAD, but after 10 years, you can't do anything with it.
No. And of course, if you're in business, the new software as a service model is fully tax deductible, isn't it? Rather than it being a
I suppose it would be as an operating expense.
So you don't have all the writing. You don't have all the writing down of assets problems.
Right. Hey, shout out to David Lee, who says, "Hey, we're teaching Revit at our high school. in our high school program.
Lucky buggers.
All right. Good for you, David. And thanks very much for $1.99 US.
Problem I had was I never worked anywhere where we needed Revit at the time. And now everybody's using bloody Revit. And they go, oh, you can do CAD. Can you use Revit? No. I've got it loaded on here because obviously the company I'm working for at the moment gave me one of their Autodesk subscriptions. What I can do is I can open up a plan in Revit and I can export it into 2D AutoCAD, and then I can do something with it. But I don't know how to use Revit. Nobody's ever taught me, and I don't think it's the sort of thing you can teach yourself. It's a very, very powerful bit of kit, I think. But certainly in my industry, it's like AutoCAD came along and everybody used it, and now Revit has been around for quite a few years now, and everybody's using it. And now we have BIM, the modelling, and everybody's using it. And I'm sitting there going, just give me 2D AutoCAD, thank you.
Yeah. I'm no longer interested in learning any new software.
No.
And hello to Larry. Hello, She Bill.
I guess I missed the best part.
What, the first hour and a half? Yeah.
Well, but did you really miss the ramblings of Bev and Mike Jones? Did you?
No.
It could be worse. It could be the ramblings of Lindsay Harris.
Well, that would be true too.
Was it just a trigger bait?
I don't know how you describe it, to be honest. Arguing about definitions, and that's usually what it comes down to. And then Bev coming along and just saying lots of bizarre crap.
So Bev talking.
Yes, pretty much.
Yes.
The day he makes sense is the day I have a bloody heart attack.
Don't.
I'm not in any fear.
Yeah.
It's not made sense all these years. He's not going to start doing it now, is he?
Well, true. I mean, and of course we all know what Bev is, don't we?
I'm not going to say it. Only because you said it so much better.
A disingenuous lying cunt.
Yes.
That felt so good to say that essentially to his face.
Well, as to his face as you could at the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Come down and weld you with us. You can actually do it. If that ever happens, of course.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the. Go ahead,
if
Al.
it ever happens, I shall get a lift over to Welney. Don't worry. It's not far.
No, I think you're a bit closer than me, aren't you? I don't think it's by much.
Just a tad.
Yeah.
Well, it's only just the other side of Dereham from me, isn't it?
I suppose, yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Hey, shout out to Anamorphic Mind for $2. Nothing worse than Bev and Allie B in the same voice channel. Ain't that the truth?
Oh God.
I'd rather talk to. You can actually stay away from flat Earth. You can actually have a conversation with Ali B. I don't think you could with Bev.
No. I don't know.
I've never been able to have a conversation with either one of them, honestly. So what's Paige on about in the chat? What's she been?
Apparently, they're a little butthurt about some of the responses they've been getting, but at the same time, Paige, you're not being held here against your will. If you are uncomfortable with the environment, no one is forcing you to stay. You are welcome to come and go as you please.
That is a fact. I do not have a "you gotta stay" button. I do have a "you gotta go" button.
Oh. Apparently her IQ is perfectly fine. That doesn't imply that it's in 3 digits.
Well, she's been going on and on lately about drawing a square on the surface of a sphere.
Yeah.
I don't know what the I don't really know what to make of it. How do you draw a Euclidean square on the surface of a sphere? Well, the answer to that is you don't.
Who says it's got to be Euclidean?
Draw a Euclidean square is going to touch a sphere in exactly 4 spots.
Well, no more than 4 spots.
No more than 4, right. It can be less, that's true, but no more than 4 spots.
Yeah, Bev, a while back, he was saying, so if you have a square mile, how do you have, does that mean you have 4 90-degree angles?
Oh.
How can you have square miles of a circle?
Well, I mean, that just confirms that he doesn't understand how you calculate area, because he still insists that the surface of a sphere is 3D.
It just confirms that he knows it, in my mind, that he's absolutely play acting.
I'm fairly certain of that. It's the way he avoids things that you know. Yeah, you're avoiding that because you know.
But when he said square miles, square meters of a circle,
yeah.
Well, it gets miles squared and square miles confused. To him, that's all the same thing.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I've forgotten that.
Which is really pretty funny.
Yeah. Well, you do have to be careful how you say things sometimes, though, don't you? Because you can otherwise cock up big time.
8 inches per square mile. What?
Wait. No. Yeah, that one gives
water level. It's a water level, straight line segments.
Yeah. It says, I had to give it to Blue Marble. Give me what?
I don't know. That borderline sounded kinky.
Yeah. Sure did. Good thing I didn't want it. Well, yeah, they just go off on all kinds of crazy tangents, and they still can't get it through their heads that surfaces are 2-dimensional. No matter how many times you tell them that.
The surface of a 3-dimensional object is 2-dimensional because the surface has only got length and breadth.
That's right.
So that if you can't understand what a surface is and what its area is, then well, there's no hope for you.
Yeah, it comes to the definition of a surface, like the definition of a line. A line has only one dimension. A surface, it's a boundary. It has no like a point. It's infinitely thin.
Yes, it's got no thickness, has it?
And to get in navigation, you deal with a latitude and longitude, and then from there you do all your navigation calculations. 2 dimensions.
Yeah, well, every time they try to tell me that surfaces are 3-dimensional, I ask them what the volume of the surface is. If the surface is 3-dimensional, give me the volume of it. How thick is it?
And then you end up with like Brian Mabbitt goes, look, if I'm going to paint something that's like, 400 square feet, I still need gallons of paint. So that's the volume.
Wait, what?
Oh yeah, yes, I've heard him say that.
Yeah, well,
Paint is a surface. Paint has thickness.
Yes. Which is why when you, I'm sure they still do now. It's been a little while since I bought a fresh pot of paint. But if you go out and buy, I suppose it would be litres over here, 1 litre, 2 litre can of paint, and you're going to use it to paint walls, it will generally tell you on the side roughly what sort of coverage you can expect to get out of it.
Therefore, a surface has volume.
Yeah, it hurts if you try and see it from their point of view too much.
Brian Mabbitt's he's a special case. I mean, he's extra weird.
Very special.
Yes, amongst special cases, he's outstanding in his field.
Oh.
With his GPS-driven
You
draw.
mentioned that.
Oh, go on. Go on then.
So, who here follows Rider of Dinosaurs?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so he did that trailer video a few days ago
Yes.
about the video he has coming up going over JM Truth's latest movie exploit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I commented on it, and this is in reference to the comment in the video about JM Truth no longer doing flat Earth stuff. My comment was, "Aw, but he was so outstanding in his field. Darn." That comment got held for review.
Oh dear.
I think he got abandoned in his field, didn't he?
Oh yes, he definitely
No,
got
he
abandoned.
got abandoned in the desert.
Yes. Abandoned and had all his camera gear nicked.
I never heard the end of that story. I don't guess there was one.
I can't remember. Yeah, there might not have been an actual ending to it.
Well, I think the ending was he threatened legal action, explored it, realized that he was going to lose, and just fucking dropped it. And which is also why he left Flat Earth.
He should have got Riley to take care of it. Oh no, hang on a minute. He lost. Yeah, he would have lost anyway. So, given that Mr. Riley's got 100% record.
Now, there's an interesting thought. Page says geometry on paper is not always the geometry of reality.
I can give a little bit of credit to that saying because measure twice, cut once.
Yeah.
Haven't we been telling them that for quite some time now?
Yeah, but they don't listen because it's us.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. I mean, they will insist that spherical geometry isn't a thing. And the rest of us know, well, yes, it is.
Well, anything that they can't understand is either a lie, a conspiracy, something to hide the truth, or some other sort of falsehood. Ultimately, because they can't understand it or they can't accept it because of the consequences.
Yeah.
Well, guys, what do you think? I think I'm going to shut the YouTube stream down at this point.
Well, yeah, because it actually would be good timing because any minute now, the ugly, well, okay, it Lou, it's your channel. I'm not going to use the appropriate terminology, but let's just say the walking Geneva Conventions violation known as Red's Rhetoric is going to be going live any moment.
Oh,
Well, yeah, we don't want to miss
so
that.
he
So,
is.
yeah, let's go see.
Do we know who he's talking to?
I do not know yet.
Oh, okay.
Hey, shout out to David Lee for $4.99. He says, got to meet Artemis 2 crew last Friday at Goddard Space Flight Center.
Oh.
This shit is real.
How cool is that?
You bet it is, David. You bet it is. Well, all right, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll start doing some more live streams. I've been a little inactive lately. Just kind of needed to take a break, get away from some of this foolishness. But anybody in Discord here got anything else?
No,
Tip
I think
your
I'm good.
servers.
Well, that being the case, good night, folks. We will see you on the next one.
Yeah. Good night, everybody.